and welcome to another benefit of the Doud review, along with my co-host, Mr. Cliff Thomas. Cliff, what's up?
What up? No, I
What's
can't
up?
believe I did that. That is
I
no one's
know,
gonna know what
seriously.
that is. I don't know. Maybe
That's
our audience will.
There is a real solid chance that the first 500 people to watch this video will have no idea what that means. There's a really solid chance of that.
A long time ago, there was a
Many moons
commercial
ago, when we had linear TV.
before Bud Light was canceled. There
Oh my
was a
god.
commercial where people
Anyway,
greeted each other saying "What's up" in a very specific way. You can
but
go
you know
find it
what?
on YouTube.
Yes, yeah, you could look at it. You could look it up, and
Just
I'm
look up "What's
sure.
up" and Bud Light, and there you
Finish
go.
this video first and then go look it up.
Right there,
And
you
you
go.
know what? I could put a link in the description, but I'm just not going to because it was ridiculous and stupid. And also that's because that's not what we're here to talk about.
That's right. We're here to talk about nothing.
Yep, you want to do the joke, that's fine. We're here to talk about nothing, specifically the Nothing Phone 2. This is the second generation of the phone from the company whose name okay, look, I don't want to say I hate the name because it's fine. But it's really hard to talk about in any kind of like serious frame because you have to say like, let's talk about this company Nothing. Did you see what Nothing
Well,
did?
so
What's
so
the
here,
latest thing from Nothing? Yeah.
So here's a valid reference actually for our podcast. So for the longest time, we've been kind of puntastic in the way that we have titled some of our content.
Oh
And
yes.
you and I had a conversation the other day, and we kind of went, "Is it still working?
Yeah, I don't think
I
it's working.
don't think it's working." And so similarly, and first of all, benefit of the doubt is staying. That is the
Right.
brand.
Yeah,
So
that's
obviously that, but
yeah.
it's cute. The nothing name, but yeah, it is really easy, especially for journalists to run it into the ground or tech YouTuber people like us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. They've got a phone, and it's a pretty good phone. Is really what it boils down to.
That's
So
right.
yeah, we're talking about the Nothing Phone 2.
That's
I
right.
have mine that I reviewed for Slash Gear, and I'll put a
Looks
link to
like
that review
you and
in
I
the show
actually have
notes.
the same colorway too.
Well, yeah, I didn't they only no they had two colorways. That's right.
They have the
They had
white.
this. I don't remember. So it's terrible. I was briefed on this, and I know they specifically had a name for this colorway, and I don't remember what that name is, but I know what the reason that they. So this is lighter than the
It
Nothing
is
Phone
right.
1, and the reason they did that was
Which was
because
black originally, or white.
the reason they did that was because they felt that the details, like the rings inside the like the wireless charging
Right.
coil here, which is by the way not a real wireless charging coil, but the
Yeah.
rings inside this coil kind of got lost in the color, and Nothing was right about that. So Nothing stuck with their its usual MO with the clear back plate, so you can see all the fun stuff underneath.
That's
They've
right.
got the LED lights going on here. But yeah, so this is a new colorway. It's lighter, which I like. But can I tell you about the one thing that kind of bugs me about the
Sure.
backplate of this phone?
The
There's a
switch.
switch right here. I'm looking for it in the camera right here. There's a switch here that I cannot flip. I want to know what that switch does, damn it.
There are definitely details in this. I mean, first of all, we'll talk about the hardware, the details, the specs, all that kind of stuff. But I mean,
Oh yeah.
honestly, the gimmick or the thing that makes this phone special, other than the software, yes, the glyphs. So that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're familiar with the Nothing Phone 1, you already know what those do. If you're
Look
not,
at the glyphs. Watch
woo,
all
it's
of
like
our
I feel like
videos.
I'm at a rave.
Anyway.
Um, but yeah, it's so it does look mechanical and purposeful behind the curved 2.5D glass that you have on the new version.
Right.
And first of all, I'm a big fan of this colorway. I mean, I had a choice because I bought this phone for myself. I wasn't just sent a review unit. And I like the white, but I just really thought that this gray was nice looking. And even my daughter has come up and said, "Well, it's a really nice case you have on the back of that phone." And I went, actually, top popped off my case and showed her, and she said, "Wow," as 7-year-olds are
And speaking of which,
tend
did
to
you
do.
see that that Casetify
Yes.
nothing phone case thing, which I thought was an interesting choice. I'll put a link to it in the show notes, but Casetify and Nothing collaborated to put basically this on the back of an iPhone 14 or an iPhone 15. Like not the light up part, but just like the look of it.
Now, I didn't know it was a Nothing collab.
Yeah, that's a straight up Nothing collab.
I did see the Casetify, but I didn't know it was a
Mhm.
Nothing collab. But wait, here's what's funny though. So since Nothing has introduced this sort of design language, whether it's the Nothing earbuds or now the Nothing Phone 1 and Nothing Phone 2, where it's almost like a throwback to the late 90s, like translucent casings that started with the original Bondi Blue iMac
Yeah.
that was introduced in 1998 and actually is now kind of coming back. I've actually seen some cases for the new iPhone that look like that. But I digress. Other people are now aping this style. What is the name of the company that begins with a U and makes the jelly phone? I was going to say Unilever, but that's not right.
Ulefone? Is it Ulefone?
No, it's not
Ulefone?
you. No,
No.
it's not Ulefone. Although
Ulefone?
it is Unihertz.
Unihertz? Okay.
Unihertz introduced at, I think, IFA, and it is now available for purchase, I believe, or at least review units are out if you really want one that mimics that. It has those LED
I'm actually
strips
fairly
on the
sure that was
back.
MWC. I think it was
Or
a
was it
while back
MWC?
now. Yeah.
But yeah, so it is available for review, I guess, if or purchase, maybe.
Wasn't that like the Infinix? Didn't they call it like the Infinix or something like that? Like, yeah.
Infinix is something else.
Is something else? Okay, whatever. It
Yeah, I
was
don't
I,
remember, but I don't, and
yeah.
frankly, I don't really care. But what was really funny is that Carl Pei, the founder of Nothing, actually dropped by their booth,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like a photo of him holding it next to the
The
Nothing phone.
Nothing phone. I think it was a
Right.
Nothing Phone 1 at the time, but yeah.
But they say
Yeah.
imitation is a sincere form of flattery or something like that.
Indeed
So
it is.
yeah.
Indeed it is.
So
Anyway.
yes, that is. I mean, this is very distinctive, as I was saying, a part of this phone, because I mean, honestly, if you didn't have this on the back, I mean, the camera stack looks and with the radius of the rounded corners, the way that the camera stack looks, and then from the front facing, it looks like an iPhone 10. Look, let's be honest. Like if it didn't have this, it would look like an iPhone 10. It even has
Oh,
the
sure.
slab sides.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it honestly feels like in hand like an iPhone Pro Max. It's about the same size. It has
Yeah.
not the 15, but like the 13, the 12, and the 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, that's not a bad thing. I mean, when I say, again, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, there we go once again. But this is such nice hardware. I mean, it is for a mid-range phone. The price on this starts at $599, by the way, and we'll talk about that a little later.
Yep.
It is just so nicely made that you can tell I mean, the haptics, the way the buttons feel in your hand. I mean, I hesitate to use the word exquisite, but honestly, for the price, it really is.
Yeah, and Nothing actually spent a long time talking about the manufacturing process because I mean, when you think about it, this has a clear backplate, and they have to have such a clean room when they're assembling this. They can't afford to get
Right.
any dust
No
or anything
dust.
back here. And I think what they said was it was like a pressurized room that has like blowers on
Wow.
the back of a thing as it moves through the conveyor belt. Like they had to put a lot of thought into how exactly to keep this and the back of this phone nice. But we've spent a lot of time talking about the back of the
Right.
phone. Let's go ahead and flip it around to the front of the
Yeah,
phone.
absolutely.
And Cliff has installed and set up one of the things that I like about the Nothing phone, and I tried to use on a Nothing phone, but ultimately I couldn't stick with it. And that is the monochromatic icon pack. Did you want to?
So should I switch to?
Do we want to go ahead and slap over to Slappy?
Before we do that, let's just go ahead and like glance over the specs, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I think that, that's your 10,000-foot view.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's sized very similarly to a Pro Max iPhone from the last few years because it does have a 6.7-inch screen.
Mm-hmm.
It is an
1080p, by the way.
1080p, right? Which actually I'm fine with.
Oh yeah,
especially considering that it's also an LTPO OLED screen, so it can clock itself down anywhere from 120 hertz all the way down to 1 hertz, depending on how it senses that you're using it. So it will save you battery life. Let's see, 1600 nits. That's pretty peak, which is pretty bright.
Peak brightness,
it's
not compared to some these days. I mean, they're really cranking them up these days.
Very true.
But yeah.
So let's see, running Android 13. They're actually, I think the Android 14 version of Nothing OS is currently in like a private beta, and it's still missing quite a few things. So I don't know when we're going to see that. But anywho, it's running a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. So a system on a chip, a processor, whatever you want to call it, that came out about a year ago, actually.
It was
the
last
second
fall.
in the TikTok of Qualcomm's SoCs that they were doing until this year, where you had the 1 and then the Plus. Right. So a relatively recent and very fast and efficient chip.
It's a very good, very fast processor. It's not the latest and greatest, but honestly, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so as far as available capacities and memory, you can purchase configurations. There you go. Either 128 gigabytes of storage with 8 gigabytes of RAM, or a choice of 256 gigabytes or 512 gigabytes, both with 12 gigabytes of RAM. What I have is the 128 gigabyte model with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Because yours is a review unit, I suspect you might actually have a higher spec unit.
I don't remember, actually.
It doesn't, I mean, honestly,
you have to remember, this is like 8 phones ago, dude. But I'll tell you what, I'll look that up.
While you're doing that, we'll just go over the cameras real quick. So you've got a 50 megapixel f/1.9 wide angle camera with optical image stabilization, and then an ultra wide that's also 50 megapixels with an f/2.2. So not quite as fast or bright, but that's typically the case with wide angle. A little bit lesser spec, and it does not have optical image stabilization. And on the front, you've got a 32 megapixel camera. Let's see. The back cameras will do 4K at 60 frames per second.
Yep.
And you can do 4K, I believe, at 30 frames per second. 1080p at 30 frames per second.
Yeah, on the selfie camera.
Which is kind of strange. I don't know why maybe it's just optimized, but typically when you've got a high enough resolution, like a 32 megapixel camera on the front,
you'd think they'd be able to
absolutely, especially right. I mean, with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, it is capable, but I'd rather them do what they feel the phone is best at, if that makes any sense, rather than try to just throw in features that perhaps it wouldn't perform that well.
12256, by the way.
12256. That's what I figured. So you've got the mid-range model, but it does have wireless charging, 15-watt wireless charging, and it'll also do 5-watt reverse wireless charging, and it does support fast charging at 45 watts.
Right.
And unfortunately, there is no. I meant to bring the packaging out here because the packaging is pretty cool, but
I don't have mine.
That's okay. Anymore. That's all right. You can look it up online. I'm sure you can find a picture somewhere.
Hang on a second.
4700.
Yeah, this is it. I got
it. I'm not looking at the camera right now. Okay, let me see there. Let me see what you got there.
I got the packaging.
Oh yeah. So the cable.
I never opened the cable.
I haven't opened mine either. A nice little detail. Again, it's just those little attention to detail things that Nothing does. But the SIM tool is kind of cool. It's got like a little jewel on the end, or it's got like a clear, almost looks like a tiny screwdriver kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a little.
There you go.
Yeah, it's like a little.
It's a thing.
What? This is cool, but it's also kind of annoying because I've got a magnet back here that I stick all my SIM tools to.
It's the only one you can't do that with, right?
Yep. I've got 3, I think, in my collection.
Okay.
that won't stick to that thing, so I got to figure out a place to put those. But
maybe they'll invent magnetic plastic someday, and then you'll be set.
there you go. There you go.
Well, let's see. Am I missing anything in terms of specs? I mean, I know some people might just roll their eyes at specs, and that's
4,700 milliamp hour battery. Did we talk about that?
We did. I mentioned it very briefly. No charger in the box, and they will sell you a charger for about $40. I think that actually does look pretty cool.
Because commerce. Anyway,
exactly. Well, and which they call that saving the environment, because you probably already do have a charger at this point that will charge the phone. So those are the specs. Oh, we should probably talk price. The base model is $599, which is the one that I have. The mid-spec model, the one that you have, is $699. And then currently on Nothing's website, the 512 gigabyte variant it's normally $799, but it's on sale. You can purchase it right now for $749.
There you go.
So I mean, even the highest spec version still comes in under the lowest price iPhone. So take that for what you want.
Take that for what you will.
But
I think the exclamation point when it comes to the Nothing Phone 2 is arguably the software. So why don't we go ahead and switch on over to Slappy
here.
And
uno momento, por favor.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and mute me or hide me there.
Yeah. See you later, alligator. And we're gonna wait for Cliff to move on over to his Slappy table. Oh my God, it's an earthquake! What's going on? Okay.
I need a spinny chair.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Is it in frame? I can't see right now.
Little higher, a little farther away from you. And a little. No, you're fine. Back to the right. Back to the right. This is amazing TV.
This is like it's like backing up a car that you can't see out the front of, and you got the guy waving you.
Yep.
Waving you there. Okay.
Yeah.
So
coming soon to Cliff Studio is floor stabilization. Anyway.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's all right. It's one of the I don't know. Maybe I could just put the whole thing on a giant gyroscope, and it'll just be stabilized.
Yeah, perfect.
All right,
we'll
so
get that
here
working.
we have, and I showed this off briefly. What I also have here is a Spigen case.
Okay.
With an accessory also added to it from Spigen that allows it to use MagSafe, which is nice.
Yes.
So both of those are sold by Spigen. This is actually the MagSafe edition is a one that's
kind of like a sticker. I've shown those off on the podcast.
Yeah. But I was gonna say it's universal, so it you can it's not a Nothing Phone specific thing. But the cases, and honestly, if I was gonna put a case on this, which I hate to do because it is such a gorgeous piece of hardware, it had to be a clear case.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be like having a Ferrari and wrapping it in a paper bag. It just
not sure how well that would work, but yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at that software. So I was talking. Now there is nothing wrong with your cameras right now. This is the Nothing Phone monochromatic icon pack. So what you're seeing is that every app that just about every app that I can think of, and just about every app that you have, is the icon has been turned monochromatic. Now there's a reason for that, because the thing about the monochromatic apps is Nothing wants to encourage healthier, people by using your phones less, and they think that the colors on the apps have been designed to entice you to tap on them, and they're not wrong. But what the colors on the apps also do, and this is the reason why I didn't actually stick with the monochromatic icon pack. What the colors on the icon pack do is also draw your eye to, like, I know I'm looking for the Gmail app, and that's white and red. True. So you look for the white and red icon. So you have to actually study your phone a little bit more closely. And I'm not talking about going back to college and getting a 4-year degree on what your icon looks like. But you have to look at your phone for longer than a second to figure out, oh wait, this M shape here, that's the Gmail
icon. Very
icon.
True. And if it doesn't have an icon that has been created by Nothing, what it does is it makes a black and white version. It literally just does like a super contrast black and white version of the icon. So it's
Right.
actually doing like a software tweak to the icon that was provided by the app developer.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
as an example, let's see, there's
Was that Facer?
no, that see, there you go. You don't know what it is. Normally this icon would be red. No, that is Flipbook.
Oh, Flipboard. Okay.
A Flipboard rather, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I believe this is my audio.
It might
And
be
now,
fun to like play guess the app.
I mean, seriously, this reminds me of that game Guess Who.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
some of these are iconic enough, like
Pocket Cast. I
like
recognize
Pocket
that
Cast right there, right? Red, but
Yeah.
you can still tell what it is, right? But this is YouTube Music. You almost wouldn't know. And then the
Oh shoot.
worst, I
Yeah.
think, in the middle, and then this is TuneIn Radio, which just becomes an unrecognizable blob.
It
You
looks
can
like
see
a
what it normally
skull,
looks like.
honestly.
Yeah, it's and so the majority of the icons are fine. For me, because I'm the one that set up my home screen, I know what they all
Sure.
are. But
Sure.
even like you're saying, sometimes I actually do struggle with it. Now, this is not some third-party app. This is actually an app that you can download from nothing that does this. So if you don't like it, you can just uninstall the app or
Right. Or you can change it in your customizations
your
area.
customization. So I like
Yeah.
that it's available. I like the monochromatic look.
Sure.
And here's what's really cool, right? So, and I think this is kind of funny that the sort of brand colors of nothing are black, white, and red.
And
And
red.
so, as
Yeah.
an example, you've got this clock from nothing that's a custom clock widget from them, and you have the little tick, the second hand on it that has the highlight of red on it, which is
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Along with that dot matrix look that you can see in things like the clock app. If I can get it to come up here, why you no go? Okay,
Why you no open clock?
why you no open clock? But and this is their weather app with the the LED looking sun, because it is sunny out, dot matrix looking sun.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the little tweaks that they can do. And let's see, let me just take one of the folders here. I'm gonna move it. I didn't know if I had any folders on.
Move
my
that off your
second
home
screen.
screen, or you will screw some stuff up, man.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you
So I'm
can.
gonna hit enlarge.
Uh-huh.
You can actually customize the size of your folder. So if there's some that you use more than others, and you want them to be more readily available to your fingers, to your little mini sausages here, and then you can just enlarge it. And if you don't want it, you can minimize it, which I think is really cool. Now I'm going to move it back and hopefully not screw up my home screen. Boop.
So, yeah, I'm actually gonna go ahead and flip back to because we've got Slappy maximized here. I'm gonna switch back to our main screen because I've got some folders that I think will be a little bit more
Maybe a little bit,
if you don't mind.
No, absolutely.
So, like, for example, I've got this Google folder here, which is circular. And one of the nice things is, I'm going to try to do this without bopping my microphone, but one of the nice things is the apps are like aligned in this circle here, but this serves as a folder as well. So you can like, I need to look to see what I'm doing here, but if I tap on the folder, it actually expands the folder out, but it also shows you the first 6 icons available. And you can tap on, if I tap on like say YouTube, it'll open up YouTube. So you don't even have to actually open the folder in order to get to one of these 6 apps. And there are actually different sizes and different shapes. If you hit this customize button here, you can do a grid. You can do a default, which is like 3 big icons and then like 4 little small ones. You can also do a circle. And then I didn't notice, do you have any folders that use a cover?
Do not.
Okay, so let me show you this then as well. So you'll notice I've got my camera app, and I'm on the other side. I've got the camera app and then the Chrome, and then I've got these 3 monochromatic apps here. And this one's like a shopping cart, this one's a baseball, and this one is a telephone. So what this is, and this is something that I really, really want Android to do like forever.
Right.
But what this is this is a cover for, oh, my phone's turning off. This is a cover for this folder. So if I tap on this baseball, that's actually my entertainment folder.
Gotcha.
So, but when I minimize it, it just, it instead of like, say
Instead of having
having
a
like
name, right?
yeah, instead of having a name, it actually has this cover on it, which is really cool. And you can use there was something that I learned about this, and I'm trying to remember how to do it. If you hit the customize button, so you can pick. Now, nothing has a bunch of these icons pre-configured, like they've got a music thing and an automobile thing and whatnot, or you can actually choose from black and white emoji. So like which greatly expands your possibilities
Yeah,
there. So
absolutely.
like and you can pick like from what I can tell, you can pick like any emoji that you have on your phone. So like you can pick a car or a boat or a smiley face or whatever. So I thought that was really cool. That was really clever. Now the emoji icons, I think I ended up using emoji for all of these. The emojis don't have that same look as the nothing built ones, because you can see they also use that dot matrix
Right.
style
Right.
of whatever. But and actually they had a good one for like entertainment, they had a good one for communications, but they didn't really have a good one for, like, I think it was either like shopping or like my control apps, the
I'm
apps
actually I
that
don't I
like
don't know if
control
you're
my
showing
home.
this right now, but I'm showing how you can sweep through and look at all the different icons that they have
Yeah,
available,
push it
and you
up
can
just a little
select
bit further,
cover.
a little farther, a little farther. There you go.
There we
There
go.
you go.
So
So now you
yeah,
can see it.
so right now you have the default, but you can also select cover, and then you can just swipe through.
Yeah, and you can pick any of those, and it's
Right.
really cool. I really like that. I don't know why I like it, honestly. It's like one of those things that I never really thought I wanted.
Well, I
It
mean,
was it was very Apple, because it was one of those things that I never thought I wanted, but all of a sudden, yeah, I do want that
if you
actually.
consider that, that as an example, the English language is devolving basically into shorter and shorter versions of itself because of things like mobile devices, texting. I mean,
LOL GP.
we're
Anyway,
kind of headed back to pictographs anyway, which was one of the first forms of language, like
very
hieroglyphs.
true.
So I
Very
mean,
true.
it's not a bad thing. It's easily recognizable, and I like that nothing has these thoughtful touches. It's that it.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, one of the things about this phone, the more you use it, you notice the attention to detail,
Yes.
and you can
Yes.
tell that this phone is very intentional, that they've thought about it a lot. The fact that, I mean, this is the only phone that they're putting work into. And here's something that's kind of neat, actually. If you are a OnePlus fan, which Carl Pei, the founder of Nothing, actually is also the former core. I guess you could still say he's the co-founder of OnePlus. And a lot of the software engineers that formerly worked on Oxygen OS for the original, like real Oxygen OS for
Hmm.
OnePlus, are now working for Nothing.
True.
And
Very true.
so as they continue to expand their because they are a startup,
Hmm.
and this is their second phone, hence the name. I mean, you definitely can see that. I mean, they've got their swag going on, that they've had more time and more personnel to put thought into the OS, but at the
Oh
same
yeah.
time, they haven't done what I would call unnecessary things. I mean, underneath the look and the feel of the icons and things like that is still what I would call a very pixel-like or almost like AOSP version of Android, right? And because
Hmm.
of that, and also because I feel like it's really well optimized. I mean, it's very snappy. If you look, I'm just flying
Oh
up
yeah.
and down. Also,
Yeah.
having the 120 hertz screen helps, but I mean, they haven't changed things like that. I mean, Google's feed is still available to swipe to the left. If you go to the settings menu, there's no crazy customizations on top of it.
Hmm.
Alphabetical. Here we go. And I mean, the things that they have a lot that they have added to it are things like being able to program. And I don't know if you've installed this app. This is actually something they made available recently, but as part of the ringtones, maybe I don't know if you have your phone in front of you so you can show it off, but just
Oh,
just play your ringtone and show how the glyphs go while I pull
I
up this
don't know
app
if I
here.
have that set up, to be honest.
No worries. So
Again, this is about 7 phones ago, so
So this is, I forget what this app is called, but it's another Nothing app,
it's
and
a
you can
composer. I think,
Composer, right?
yeah, it
I
has a
think
name
that's right.
composer in it.
This has recently been updated, and they definitely have different styles here. Let's see.
Yeah, it's actually just called Composer. It's in
Okay,
your launcher. Oh, there you see it. Okay, you've got it.
there you go. So
I wasn't I wasn't paying attention to the screen. I was looking at my phone.
You can see as I'm gonna be like a house. This is actually the Swedish House Mafia. They have different sound sets, and they are continuing to add more. Let's go to modem here, but I just want to show you the fact that you can, just by hitting record, you can start recording your own ringtone that you can, that also programs. And now I can save it. We'll just call it modem +1.
Sure.
And there's my customized ringtone that also
flashes
is doing the same thing on the back. How cool is that?
Yeah, that is
and
fun.
These glyphs also do some really fun things once that's actually done. Is it continuing to play it? I guess it is. Pause. All right. So if you plug this in, am I centered in there again?
Yes.
This right down here as an example, if you use Google, the Google service for things like voice typing, for doing Google search, it actually has a microphone meter that shows your volume as you're speaking, which is really cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, gimmicky, but how cool is that?
Sure. And then when you plug it in, it
shows the charging on that same part there. Exactly.
And there's a couple of other apps that will utilize this upper right LED strip to show you like how far away your Uber is. Like it'll slowly fill in or empty out. I never got it to work, honestly, because I didn't use Uber during my review period. And it's only just a couple of apps, and I think they had to like work with Uber to make that work. So yeah, there were a few caveats involved with that.
So nothing has that in their experimental features, right? So a couple of things they have in here. They have built-in support for Tesla to control your Tesla in the OS.
Right.
I think that was also available in the Nothing Phone 1. You can turn on AirPods support so that you can actually see things like the battery levels and things like that. And this was something that Carl Pei talked about in terms of he called it building an ecosystem, but really it was more like working with other companies,
manufacturers.
Exactly. And this is also not just to show that the capabilities of the phone, but to show the technical chops of the company. And so they might, who knows, I would not be surprised if they do some ODM things in the future. But they also have, they just added something else too that I can't remember. Well, we won't worry about it. Okay, here we go. Glyph progress.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Over time anyway.
Well, that's fine. So in addition to Uber, they also added Zomato, or Zomato, which I think is a competitor to like Uber Eats.
Grubhub.
Yeah. So again, progress that you can see in the phone. So my final thoughts on the phone, I'll just say this is my favorite phone.
Before we get to it,
sure.
Do we want to switch over to camera real quick while you get a chance
to do that?
Let me go ahead and pull up some camera samples on the screen while you do your flippy back to your camera.
Rotating now.
Yeah.
Rotating now.
All right. So
I'll
let me
go
ahead.
I'm here.
Let's get rid of Slappy. Okay. So these are some photos, and I'm just gonna kind of flip through these as they appear.
You may bring my picture back.
And here we are. There you
are.
So these are there's my daughter looking really thrilled at the fact that I'm using her to test portrait mode.
Aren't they the best?
Yeah, and actually, I mean, when you look around the hairline of her, Nothing does a really good job in portrait mode of like not catching like wispies and stuff like that. So it's a really solid line in portrait mode, which I really kind of appreciated. This is us going up on a roller coaster. Again, my daughter looks thrilled. And then I believe this is going to be, if I remember my sequence properly, that's the ultra wide camera. That's the main camera. That's going to be 2x, if I remember correctly, which I believe is just a digital crop. Okay,
crop, yeah.
Here's another example of portrait mode in a macro setting with the flower. And I guess I must have done a couple of pictures of the flowers. And then we've got, and then like the one thing that you'll notice is the ultra wide camera is just a hair darker when it comes to the main sensor. It's not a really major difference, but you can see, especially in the pinks here, that's the ultra wide camera, and then this is the main camera. And you can see that's a lot more vibrant. This is also Oh, go
I
ahead.
feel like both cameras also lean a little blue. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like
Mhm.
you know, certain companies have different tastes
Mhm.
in terms of well, I mean, iPhones used to be lean a little warm. Now they actually lean a little blue too. And Samsungs are obviously
Yeah.
oversaturated, all that kind of thing. But that is the personality
Right.
of this camera set.
Right.
Yeah, but you're right. They're not color matched completely, but it's honestly not too bad.
It's not bad at all, and that's just my office from working at Great America. This is just some, motion photos, which is good
Hmm.
because 'cause you're not seeing a lot of blur, with the dancers. And, I'm always working. And, then we go into night photos, and
Yeah, it kind
you
of
can see
falls
things
down here a
fall
little bit.
apart a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, some of these aren't bad. I believe this one was the ultra wide, which is actually this is a better shot that you're gonna get from
That's
most
a
ultra wide.
nicely exposed photo, especially because that your daughter is backlit there, which is it's that's a lot for the camera to deal with
Right.
that bright light. So,
Right. And so and, like, even when she's moving and, bending in ways that I haven't been able to bend
right.
in 40 years, that's always a plus, but then, when you start moving a lot, that's when things fall apart a little bit. Got a little bit of a doubled up leg here, with the, and you have to and remember when I'm showing you these photos, they're at 41%, so these are not even at full
Right.
exposure here, so, or
You're
full
also
resolution, I should
seeing
say.
at least on my side, I'm sure you're seeing this a little bit differently, but our viewers are probably seeing the same thing as me, and that's the fact that you're pulling these down from the web, aren't you?
No,
Or are
these are
these
these are saved locally.
maybe it's just because it's being streamed, but there's a little bit of compression just from being shown on video too. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm sure that's very possible. And then, so that's a very brightly lit subject, which, it's not great there, but if I remember correctly, when you switch over to the main camera, you can pick up a lot more detail, and actually when you
yeah,
crop in with the
that's actually not
2x.
bad.
Yeah, and then if you bring it up to 100%, it starts to get a
You
little
can
flat.
a little mushy too. I mean, you can see that the anti-aliasing there.
Yeah.
But I mean, at cropped in like that though, I mean, you can really see the depth on the excuse me on the fur of the dog
Yeah, and,
statue thing.
so, like, when you're cropped in, or I should say when you're running at about 40% resolution, these are pretty social media good. These are going to be great
Sure.
for Instagram. Okay, wait, this is a bunch of video clips that I did the one day at the. Okay,
I'm assuming that's a firework.
fireworks. Yeah, this was my 4th of July camera. This is a little bit of a nighttime video, and you can see quite a bit of grain. Um, yeah, that's right. We were trying to murder a
You were
frog
doing
shaped
good old
sandbox.
American blowing stuff up.
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
best.
But I mean, like, overall, this is not bad.
No, no, not at all.
This is
Yeah.
actually pretty decent considering the low light and everything, and the dealing with the competing lights. What is
So
this next one here?
so in my
Oh,
oh,
that's
there you go. Oh, a road vlog.
little selfie test. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
What is this one actually? I don't remember what that was. Um, so, and this is just like a walking and talking test. The one thing I noticed with this is, you can see a lot of dimming going on,
Yeah,
as like the lighting changes.
it's struggling to with exposure a little bit there.
Okay, this is a video compilation that I did.
Now, I will say, since you did this review, they have updated the camera several times.
No, my, what was that?
So
Anyway,
I know that the camera software and
has been
processing
updated. Absolutely.
has improved since launch.
You know
But
what I should do? I should mute, and I don't know how to do that.
I'm not
Anyway.
hearing audio, so
Oh, you're not? Okay,
no.
good. Well, never mind. So yeah, this is just a okay. So then this is like a kind of a night video test. And what you'll see a lot here is a lot of judder with my footsteps. And actually, this isn't as bad as what you normally
I
get.
mean, honestly,
You
for a
know,
mid-range phone, that's pretty good.
yeah, when you have a subject in the frame, it's a lot better. But I think
Right,
I'm going to
right.
pass her now, and I think you're going to start to see
We're gonna get a
things
little
kind of
jump.
fall apart a little bit. So you can see, like, with every footstep, it kind of goes, yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So Let's see here. And then this is the selfie video test. Not great. Just like overall, not great at all. And I'm doing 2 phones here. I don't remember what the second one is. It might
I
have
mean,
been
you're fairly
Moto.
well exposed, but yeah, the selfies, the selfie camera is not awesome in video.
Right.
But
Right.
so here's my thoughts on the camera, just to sort of
Yeah.
wrap up. And that's the first of all, I don't do a lot of video. I'm definitely much more of a photo person in terms of most of the content
Same.
that I do. Yeah,
Same. Yeah.
and I have been pleasantly surprised by the camera on this phone. Yeah, action shots, whether it's in low light or, you know, even on like an overcast day, which is, or maybe like the golden hour or something.
Mhm.
Not the best in terms of capturing a still image. It doesn't have some of the AI smarts that like a Pixel or an iPhone does, or a Samsung phone, where it's taking multiple shots and then it can
Multiple
replace things.
exposures.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But for still images, for portraits, I got a lot of great I am getting a lot of great photo. This has been my daily driver now for 2 months.
Mhm.
And I've really enjoyed using the camera on this phone. And most of the time in less than perfect light, I'm able to, especially which I always do anyway, if I take a bunch of shots when I'm really trying to get something that I want to get a good shot of, I can usually get something that's more than usable. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel
And
good about it.
at the $600 price point, you really can't complain too much.
Right.
So,
And
but yeah.
I feel like nothing's imaging pipeline is getting better in their expertise with it. As they continue to add imaging engineers, software engineers, and just get more experience with this camera set. I
Yeah.
feel like it's just going to continue to get better over the life of the phone, and
I agree.
maybe
I
so.
agree.
So I mean, I'm happy with it, and I feel like that's going to continue on in terms of my opinion of this phone in general.
Yeah. And the one thing that, I remember when I did the original Nothing phone review, I kind of finished it off by saying, this phone brought enough to the table that I'm really interested in to see what the Gen 2 product is going to be like.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, did that survive the editing process? I started off this review with a quote from Major League, which was like something like,
I remember
"Yesterday
this.
we won a game, and if we win today, that'll be 2 in a row, and if we win tomorrow, that's a winning streak." And so like this phone is that second win. This phone is definitely a win, and especially at the $600 price point. You can't There's really nothing better at that price point except
Not to me.
maybe a Pixel 7a.
Yeah.
But
If
you
you're
know what? The Pixel 7a is kind of a vanilla Pixel. Like this actually has some panache to it, some flair to
right.
it. This is something that you can hold up and say, "Hey, look at this," and people will be like, "Whoa!" So like whereas with the Pixel 7a, it's just kind of like, "Yeah, that's nice,"
I mean,
you know.
again, it's a question of priorities, right? I think if your number one priority is an awesome camera, then the 7A is going to be your choice, or
Probably, yeah,
maybe like a used iPhone, like a 13 or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Because I don't
What is
think
it?
the SE is not going to cut it in terms of competing with these two, in my opinion, unless you're just an iOS person. But
Right.
here's my overall thoughts with this phone, and it takes me back to what I was saying briefly when I was back over at Slappy. The review came, and it's that it really feels like a lot of love has been put into the design of this phone, whether it's the hardware or the software, the way you interact with it. It
Mhm.
all just feels very intentional and sometimes special. And
Yeah.
when you're talking about a candy bar phone that are in terms of a slab like this, they're kind of a dime a dozen, and they've been doing it for a long time. This is the only phone I can think of outside of okay, the only phone I can think of that's not a flip or foldable that really brings something new to the table, even if it is
Yes.
gimmicky.
Yeah.
They're doing something different, and I love it. I'm here for it, and I can't wait to see what their next product is. But even things
Yeah.
like the haptics, the stuff that I'm like a nerd, that I nerd out on, the way it is just, it feels like it matches the iPhone or close to it in terms of those details. In fact, I feel like nothing in a lot of ways to me feels like that attention to detail that Apple puts into their phones
Mm.
is there with this phone. So I
And
love
for
it,
my
and it's my
part,
mhm.
and for my part, I'm sorry, I kind of cut you
No,
off
no, it's okay.
on your wrap up there. I think my favorite part of this phone is the software, and I think there's
Mhm.
a lot here that nothing does that I would absolutely love to see Google steal, and bring to like a general. It's arguably my favorite skin on an Android phone this year, and I've
And
used a lot of them.
you can actually install I think you can install the Nothing launcher on other phones too,
It
if
might
that's
be
something that you
interesting,
like.
and I believe if I remember correctly, I think the Pixel brought those enlarged folders,
Hmm.
like at least the square. I think the 3x3 folder, I believe, exists on Pixels, so that's something that's cool. But yeah, it's arguably my favorite skin. And so like
Well,
I think this,
sometimes
like you said, the software feels really intentional and really like it brought value to it, not just for the sake of differentiation, but
exactly.
it's there to actually make your experience better.
So going back to my Honor 90 review, I think I said I really like this phone. The hardware is really nice,
Hmm.
but like some other manufacturers, sometimes it just feel when they add things to it or change things to like the interactions, for example, the things that are like Android norms that you're used to
Right,
from switching from phone to phone. If you're someone like us, they'll just change things, and it's like, why,
right.
why did you do that? And it's not like it's something that's cultural, like a cultural difference. Like I get that with things like not having an app drawer. That's more of like a cultural thing and what that they're used
Hmm.
to in a different country. But
Hmm.
this feels like you said, the changes or the additions that because they're really not changes, just additions
Yeah,
that Nothing has made on the software side feel like value adds, and it also makes the phone fun.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm here for it, and I know I think I've tried to say this a couple times, but this is my favorite phone of 2023.
Okay, all
I mean,
right.
even
That's a bold statement, but
I love the Motorola Razr Plus, and it's another really fun phone,
yeah,
but I keep coming back to this phone,
yeah.
and I switch out all the time, and then I keep coming back to the Nothing phone. So I guess
Hmm.
that says something.
It does say something, absolutely. And the fact that you went out and bought that with your own
Hmm.
money, is
Hmm.
also says something. So although maybe it says a little less for you because you buy everything, but the
Less than I
fact that you
used to.
haven't returned it, that's important. Uh, but anyway, so those are our thoughts for the Nothing Phone 2. What do you think? Are you going to pick one up? Do you have one already? What do you think? Comment down below. And while you're looking down at the bottom of the screen, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, smash that bell so you can catch all the reviews that drop when they do. And I think a lot of you have been catching those reviews as they drop, and we very much appreciate it. Lots of love
Absolutely.
for our subscribers. And if you want some early access, jump onto Patreon at patreon.com/benefit of the Doud. Who knows? Maybe this week will be the week that I actually make that video that I've been teasing about for a couple of weeks now. I'd like to thank co-producer Cliff for all of his hard work behind the scenes and for walking us through the Nothing Phone 2. But most of all, and as always, I'd like to thank you for listening and for giving us the benefit of the Doud.